What's up, everybody? It's Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin, and today I thought it would be a good time to bring out my Spartan War Hero set. Now, I've been having a lot of fun with the poison, and as we know from the weekly, this week we have to kill Athenian soldiers. So I figured, what better way than to go with this set? Now, with the set, we have obviously 20% on Athenian soldiers on the helmet. We have 15% warrior damage, and the set gives us 15% damage with warrior abilities. Now, I put 10% damage with all abilities, which is going to help not only the warrior abilities, but other things that we add to this set. We're going to go to the gauntlets. It comes standard with 15% warrior damage, plus 5% crit chance, and I added 25% elemental buildup. Elemental buildup is basically going to be our poison and our fire. It's going to help build it up, and you're going to see why. It's going to be spectacular. The armor itself, it comes with 15% warrior damage plus 25% crit damage. Now, I added 20% poison damage because being that this is going to be a poison set, we're going to be needing a lot of poison. Now, you technically can turn this into another sort of build with headshots with the bow and arrow, because it does have really good crit damage already, plus crit chance. So you could actually kind of make this kind of like a buy build, I guess we would call it. I don't know what you would call it, but as we see, it does have like great crit chance and crit damage, which we would need for like a hunter build. So I might play with this more a little bit later. Moving on to the belt, we have more warrior damage. We have 20% damage with overpowered abilities, and I added 20% poison damage. Going to the boots, we have another 15% warrior damage, 5% all damage, and I've included 10% intoxicated damage and weakening effect. That's basically going to affect our poison. It's going to make the poison stronger and last longer. So that's, basically what we added there. Now, as far as the weapons go, I have the Minotaur's Labrys, which has 50% warrior damage plus 25% crit damage, which again is great for headshots. -1 adrenaline cost for overpower abilities, which is going to be helpful when we're kind of in a pinch. And then I also added weapon damage becomes poison damage. Now, the reason I did this was because this was normally for my Fire Spartan build, but now we're going to work with poison, so we're going to flip the script a little bit. Moving on to the sword, I have the Sword of Damocles, 15% warrior damage, plus 20% adrenaline per crit, plus 10% to all adrenaline gained, which is great. That's going to help us build our adrenaline bar real quick. And then I also added another 20% poison damage. Now, the bow, we have the Tosarkos Reflex Bow. Plus 14% warrior damage, plus 20% damage with overpower abilities, plus 20% poison damage it already comes with, and I added plus 50 elemental buildup with warrior abilities. So everything that we do is basically going to build up, the poison or the fire there, which I thought was pretty cool to add. Now, this bow, I actually have two versions of this bow. As you can see, this one is warrior, damage with overpower and poison, and this one is hunter, crit chance, and bow charging speed. Now, somebody had mentioned in comments before that the epic gear, the purple gear, is a lot better than most of the legendary gear, which some of it really is a lot better because it has more stats and more lines. But the thing is that there are so many options when you get these items. Like I just showed you, you may get the same item twice and it might be two different things on it. You might see a build where somebody has this bow and somebody else doesn't have this bow with the exact same stats. They're not standard. So it gets a little difficult when, showing epic gear, but I like to give you just a roundabout idea of what you might find and what to look for. All right. So that's the build. We're going to go to the abilities. Now, with the abilities, I made this more about control, this situation, or this build, and you're going to see why. Now, I added Bull Rush, which really wasn't necessary. Second Wind was very necessary. Ring of Chaos is extremely necessary, and you'll see why. And then we add Weapons and Gear Master, which increases both our armor and our fighting ability. And I maxed those out, so those were pretty necessary. Overpower attacks, it's just nice to have. Battle Cry of Ares, this just makes you a complete beast for about 20 seconds. And mixed with a bunch of other things that I have here, it makes it a very deadly combination. On the assassin side, I put Venomous Attacks and Poison Mastery, just so that we have like a lot of power going into our poison. All right. Poison buildup is increased by 60%. Intoxicated duration is increased by 6 seconds. Tongue twister. Poison damage and weakening effect is increased by 25%. So that's going to make the people get poisoned quicker, longer, and our damage stronger. So that's why that's added there. Now, Vanish, I really didn't need. I just put that just in case I get stuck and, like I need to like escape real quick. The same thing with Revelation. You don't need to add this. I just like to be aware of my surroundings, so I put that there. On all my builds, Hero Strike is a staple. I always put that just so that I'm able to one-shot an enemy. It's all about control. I'm able to like knock somebody out and run if I have to. Now, I also put Shadow Assassin, Critical Assassination, and Stealth Master. Critical Assassination and Shadow Assassin both ensure that like if we're sneaking up from behind, we basically one-shot kill them. All right? That's kind of like good to have if like you don't want to exactly blow through a base. You just want to like sneak around and find a couple of things, or you want to get to the brazier before they light it. These are the techniques that you might use. Unless you don't care, you just want them to light that brazier, you'll light it for them. That's a different story. Stealth Master, again, the ability to hide, the ability to have stealth. So that's why that's added there. Now on the Hunter side, not that we're going to be using a lot of Hunter abilities, but Predator Shot does some serious damage. Devastating Shot, same thing. Multi-Shot, just in case you have multiple enemies and you want to take multiple targets out. Arrow Master really isn't necessary. Well, in this case, it would be because we have nothing that actually poisons the arrows quicker unless you're actually going to use the venomous attacks. That you'll turn on to your arrow and if you have a regular arrow. So, I guess it's not necessary. Sixth Sense I always use just to like snap aim to the target. It just makes things a lot easier. Archery Master, it increases your damage, so and headshot damage, obviously, so that's always good. Overpower Bow Strike, really didn't need that either, but because we're really not going to be using arrows. But, I just put this stuff somewhere in this build. I could have even just put one ability point here and lit this one up so that way we could use Ghost Arrows of Artemis. But again, like I say, we're not going to be using the bow that much. So we'll take a look at the stats now. And as you can see, this has like a lot of damage in a lot of places. Warrior damage, 164%. Damage with headshots, 240%. That's great, even though, this really wasn't a bow and arrow build. Critical hit damage, 150%. And our critical hit chance is 20%, which is a lot better than normal. So, yeah, you know what? I think I am really going to try a bow and arrow version of this because I think that this armor really would work something out like that. Armor bonus, 90%. That's usually standard. Range resistance, 20. Our elemental buildup, we have fire buildup at 125% at 9 seconds. The poison buildup, which really is what we wanted, is 185%, 18 seconds, and we have plus 105 poison damage. So we're going to be able to light these guys up and they'll be completely poisoned. It'll be just crazy. So adrenaline per critical hit, plus 30%. Adrenaline on assassination kill, 10%. Adrenaline on headshot, 10%. Adrenaline per hit, 10%. So pretty standard stats on the adrenaline, even though we did have a couple of things that kind of help us out. But right now I'm in a conquest battle, and I'm going to show you the whole point of what's going on. So we're just going to go in the middle here. We're going to battle cry of Ares. And we just messed a whole bunch of people up. A whole bunch of people got hurt. Some people got one-shotted. Some people are just poisoned and they'll die on their own. We'll run around, we'll just kill people. We're doing some decent damage. Let's get back into the middle of a fight. Well, battle cry of Ares wore off there, but now the fight might last a little bit longer, but that's because, you know, we're not really hitting multiple targets, except when we do the Ring of Chaos, which I'll get ready for. There we go. Hero Strike does decent damage. We're not taking a lot of damage. There we go. That's a lot of damage going off. So basically, it's a control kind of build. And the crazy thing that happens here also is that as we're doing this, people are getting poisoned. They're getting like absolutely murdered. We can like run off, do other things, and they're getting killed. And this is actually going to be great for that whole the weekly challenge where we have to kill 30 Athenians. We'll easily kill 30 Athenians. Which in some cases we'll be able, in some of these builds, we'll be able to kill 30 Athenians anyway. Let's see where there's a lot of fighters. Here we go. Let's get in the thick of this. So adrenaline was pretty much maintained. If you get in any kind of trouble, if you're like surrounded by the enemy, you're actually going to take a bunch of them out. You don't have to worry too much about taking a lot of damage. And you could just do a lot of damage. There was one for over 100,000 right there. So at the end, 70 soldiers killed, 3 captains killed. So out of all the builds that I've been building so far, that is the biggest amount of soldiers killed in Conquest. It's just by 1 or 2, I believe, but still, that's the whole point of the build. You're just going to be using... Basically, you're going to be spamming Ares and you know the Ring of Chaos there, so that way, you know, you got enemies flying all over the place. Now, in smaller areas, like if you're in a fort or something like that, they're a lot closer. They're taking a lot more damage. It's like really sick, the damage that they're going to be taking. So you may even want to consider that for forts. I haven't tried it on boats. Assuming that, you know, like it'll do decent damage on boats. And actually, if you're like in the middle of a boat and you pull that, you might just launch people off like the boat and just win that way. So anyway, that's the build. Let me know, what do you think of it? Is there anything that you would change? Would you favor the bow more in this costume, being that you have a lot of critical hit and with the headshot and critical chance? Or would you just run around doing the poison like this? Or would you put the poison idea here on a different armor? Let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out an awful lot. And as always, thank you for watching.